Welcome to the EST Collective podcast. I'm your host, Harold, and this is your co host.
Hi, my name is Esmeralda.
Thank you for tuning in as we record this podcast. Give people some motivation to change their ways, their lifestyle, push them to get going with their goals.
What made you think of the name?
So I had a hat, which I was gonna have it here, but I forgot. So I was looking at the hat because I was thinking of an idea because I already had October 76. But something was like telling me, oh, I love it because it's the month I was born in, the year I was born. But something wasn't, I don't know, it was like I didn't feel it. And I've been trying to get it going for at least good 2 years. I recorded 2 podcasts, did a few things, logo, but I didn't feel it was right. So then I was sitting down, I had my hat on the table watching some YouTube videos, and I kept thinking, and I started thinking on my birthday. I was like, okay, I came from the gym, I was sitting there, I started thinking of something, I opened up ChatGPT, I started putting some input in, started giving me a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay, I like that. I'm like, oh, I like the input. I was like, after a while, I was like, the name Savage, everybody's like, oh, going with Savage this.
Switch from October 76 to Savage.
Yes, I was
Okay.
planning on switching from October 76 to Savage Lifestyle, but I still wasn't happy with that because I know everybody wants to use the word savage. So I was sitting there, I was watching some videos, and I looked at the hat. But when I looked at the hat, it looked like part of it blurred out, and then I saw where it says I am the greatest. Then I saw that within it, it also says I am great. And then I saw the N, which is the EST. So I was like, what does EST stands for? I looked it up. I said, what's the what?
The
What?
actual stands for.
Yeah, what the abbreviation stands for, and it says established. I'm like, ooh, I could go with that. I'm like, the established. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I came up with a t-shirt idea.
Yeah.
As you can see here, I made a sticker for it. And I was like, okay. And I kept thinking, I gotta add something else to it. I can't just say the established, but I wanted to keep it as EST. So I kept thinking, and then I finally came up with the EST Collective. So it'll be the established collective.
What's the goal of when you were thinking of it? So we're cousins, everyone, just to add some additional info. He called me with this idea and I was ready to jump. We have been talking about this for a long time. So what exactly was, because I know what you said to me, but I want everyone to know straight out of the creator's mouth. What's the full idea behind what's the goal? What do you want to achieve out of the collective? The EST Collective.
So the goal is to help motivate people, give them that push that they need to get going, to achieve their goals. If they want to start a company, get it going for the New Year's, because a lot of people they just need that little push. Because sometimes
From regular people, right?
yeah,
'Cause-
regular people is not established doesn't mean you established with lots of money, big companies, fancy car. You could have a 9 to 5 and be established because you could be established because you graduated from college and have a good 9 to 5, good, and or you could still work. Now I might have went to college, but
Yeah.
still have your GED, your high school diploma, have a job, a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on your table. You still established.
Yeah.
But because of social media, I feel kind of like ruined a lot of stuff because a lot of people is like 9 to 5, who making fun of people because they have a regular 9 to 5. It's okay to have a 9 to 5. You still putting
Absolutely.
food on your table, roof over your head, clothes on your back,
Yeah.
feeding your family. So it's mainly to, make sure people don't feel down because they have a 9 to 5. It's
Yeah.
okay to have a 9 to 5. If you want to try start something, have a little side hustle, start it. Doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna help you or motivate you to start a business so you could quit your day job. You don't have to quit your day job.
Yeah.
As long as you have that, you have second income, third income, fourth, how many ever income, because there's so many ways out there to make money now.
I find it that social media sometimes gives you this like false hope because when you look at it, everyone seems so. First of all, I'm 46 And I see these 20 something year olds in these houses that I'm like, how in the world did they get into a house like that at such a young age? And I do understand content creating and people are making all this money, but what happens when it's done, right?
Yeah,
Because everything comes to an end at some point. They're saying TikTok is over January 19th. What's everyone going to do after that?
yeah, exactly.
So I do I'm definitely see the full idea and I'm definitely backing it up. But I do find that there is a lack in like real stories and real life, and I always find these stories of people saying it like when they're successful, right?
Yes.
But like I've never actually seen the glow up or like it actually happen in real time. When you did offer that, I thought that that was pretty dope to us to transform as we're recording because everyone feels like they need to be somewhere before starting something. And I think for a long time, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I've never felt that I was ready to because I felt like I wasn't where I wanted to be, even though I am successful in my own ways. So this idea was really great. But I guess before we even get into that, we should kind of let everyone know a little bit about our background because your
Yes.
background is a pretty inspiring story. And again, people talk about their success when they're there, and they give you like these glimpses of their past, but they never really like go into it, and they don't really, what's the word I'm looking for, they don't really like, they're not real with their stuff. Like they just, they'll say, oh yes, I was a drug dealer or this at this point, but look at my cars, look at this, look
Yes.
at that. So but what happens when you come from a certain part, you make a mistake and then either you're stuck or somehow you did get lucky and make it big, but where's the regular people in there, right?
Yes.
So maybe we could start by telling everybody your story.
Yes. So it all started, I was 16 years old, looking for friends to hang out. I was going from block to block, not looking friends that I could like start trouble with.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to find some friends to hang out with, have fun, chill, video games or whatever. So I started getting along with everybody, hanging out on different blocks. And then I happened to be on one block hanging out, and then I was cool with this set of guys. And then we went to a party, and that's where it all started. So we went to this party. Yeah, they used to throw these parties back in the days at these
Mm.
little bars, but they wouldn't sell no alcohol because we were all teenagers. So we was there, and the guys I was with had beef with another guy, a group of other guys from different block, and we were in outside. It was a whole big thing. Somebody shot a gun. People started running. Some girl got hit with a car. So everybody went their separate ways. Next day I go to school, and somebody's like, "My cousin gonna fuck you up because you threw a bottle and hit him." Cause I'm like, okay, whatever. Mind you, I was only at that time, probably when this happened, was like 15, and I was like, I only weighed like what, 85 pounds. I was like,
Yeah, we used to
I
call you
was
the
like,
Karate Kid, remember?
yeah, I was like, they used to big, I was like the Karate Kid back then, mad skinny, 85 pounds, 15 years old. But I know that's the thing with me, I never backed down,
Yeah.
win or lose, I still fought you.
Yes.
So I'm like, whatever. And I kept on about my day in school. And then I was with one of the guys I used to hang out with. He's like, oh, let's go to this girl's karate school, her father's karate school. And I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, wait, you can't go because, it's across the street from the block. And, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, let's go. And so we went there, and all these guys were there. And I was like, shit. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm like, I'll fight, get jumped or whatever. So I'm like, went in. One of them started talking shit, telling me to get on my knees and apologize. I'm like, I ain't getting on my damn knees. I ain't gonna get on my knees. And the older one who's like, you could say their leader. He said, nah, chill, chill, whatever, and left it alone. I'm like, okay, no problem. And I walked out. I was like, ooh, thank God. I thought I was gonna get jumped. I'm like, whew. Went to the block that I used to hang out, told them, and they're like, oh, okay. Next day, go to school. Same dude pops up in his Suzuki Samurai. He's like, yo, you want to ride home? I'm like, okay, whatever. He went through School Street, and I got out. He dropped me off on the corner. I got out. I lived on Main Street, so went home. The next day, one of the guys I was cool with, You know, he comes and he's like, oh, "You down with them now?" I'm like, "What you talking about? I'm not down." He just gave me a ride. I'm not. I didn't know the extent of this one block, how they had beef with everybody. So I'm like, whatever. I kept it going. So this one kid, he started telling everybody I'm down with them. So from there on, everybody kept trying to jump me, and I'm like, I might as well be down. So the one kid that started this, so long story short, I was going to hang out with my friends one night, and this kid.
And just for clarity, we're from Yonkers, New York. So basically, if I remember the way it was back then, I don't think it's like that anymore. I am so out of the street. But before, um, every like all the blocks were against really one block.
Yes,
So there was one specific block in Yonkers that literally had beef with like every block.
correct.
And that's the crew you ended up somehow falling
Yeah,
into. So now every block had a problem with you because you were somehow you got affiliated with one specific block.
yeah. And I pretty much was getting more trouble than the rest of them because I lived all the way across town.
Yeah.
They're like at the end of one side of Yonkers. I'm almost at the other end. And there were times I just walk home when I had to walk past this one block that we had beef with. I would get chased. I was still going to the movies, still going to the pools. I wasn't confined to that one block
Yeah.
like the rest of them were. I'm like, I didn't care. I'm like, I'm still living my life. But this one night, happened to go hang out with some friends, and the one kid, I saw him and I looked at him and I kept it going because, you know, he was my friend at one time and he's the one who started this rumor, and that's how I ended up on this block. Plus, we already had a fight,
I didn't
and
know that.
yeah, I already had, he started the beef when me and him were cool. Yeah, on Halloween, he came to school with a machete and he was going to try to build his name up, but the deans caught him. Then another time we fought. He would say, and it's funny because he would say what's up to everybody from that block, but he only had beef with me and started the problems with me. So why? Because I was smaller than him or something.
Bro.
But when we had to fight in the hallway, I still beat his ass, and being bigger didn't back down nothing. So that day I let it go because I was on his turf. There was like 20 guys on the corner, and he's getting into the cab I'm out of. And he was somebody. I let it go, and my mistake was turning my back. I kept going, and when I was ringing the bell, he happened to come behind me. He hit me in the head with a bottle. So when he hit me in the head with a bottle, first instinct was I pulled out my gun because I was
Which we
like,
don't recommend.
yeah, I don't recommend this. Just showing
Story time.
story time, trying to show how I changed from back then to now. Pulled out the gun so they could back away. But then when I saw like 20 of them coming towards me, I was like, oh hell no. So I just pulled the trigger and then I just took off.
Are we allowed to talk about that? Like now that everything is done?
Yeah,
Because there was
everything.
there was like a struggle with it too, I heard.
Yeah, he tried to go for the gun, but when he tried to go for it, he kind of grabbed my arm. But
Yeah.
I was like, he just had control of my wrist. But at that time, when he had control of the wrist,
Yeah.
I still was able to like push down,
Yeah.
and that's when I said, I gotta let it go.
How when you ran, like you realized what you did at that point?
So yeah, I ran into the
I don't
building.
think we ever actually had this conversation.
No, a lot of people. I ran into the building and I was like in one of the rooms of my friend's house, and I could hear his name was Cowboy Bill, one of the narcotics. He's like, oh, this little shithead Harold, we gotta get him. So I was like, shit, they're gonna beat my ass to catch me. So I was like, I ran to the back, went in the back of the building. I was hiding in the corner. Two cops came. I thought they were gonna see me, but they happened to spin around. So they came down here. They came here. They say, I'm the mic. The mic is me. Came here. Came down from the front. They didn't turn this way. They so happened to do the turn this way and went up. Once they did that, I ran, hopped the wall that was there, ended up on Riverdale, and took a cab down to the city. And I was on the run. I was for like a week and a half.
So while that was happening on your end, I was actually at your house because my grandmother and lived on the first floor. One of my did Tia Joni move there yet?
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
on the
so it
second
was
floor.
my grandma on the first floor, one of my aunts on the second, and you and your mom on the third. So I spent the weekends at my grandmother's house when I was younger all the time. I was outside of the building with your sister and
Willy
and Willy
Wonka.
Wonka. Yeah, rest in peace.
Because I went to the
That's
house
right.
first before I went
That's
over there.
right. And we were just outside chilling because I was good friends with him and he liked Inez. So we were just talking. The cab driver that picked you up came back and said, "Do you guys know the boy I just picked up from here?" And we said yes. And he said, "Well, there was a problem. If I remember correctly, he said he got shot or somebody. He got shot or he shot somebody. He wasn't sure." As he was telling us the story, we're on Humane in front of the bakery is where they lived. And all of a sudden, all these cop cars just like closed off the street. And we were like, what the? So I remember I was running to grab, I think we got Tia Luisa, maybe. She might have been there. From that point, it was just like flooded with cops. I don't even remember what happened at that point. But yeah, it was a very like scary, confusing
Yeah,
time
it
for all
was.
of us. All right, so you want to run for a week and a half and you gave yourself in.
Yeah, we got a lawyer, and then I turned myself in. It was on Labor Day weekend that Friday. Went to the county. Yeah, I didn't see the judge, I think. Well, I turned myself in, and the two officers that were escorting me into the courthouse, they were you could say okay, cool because they were like they saw I was nervous, scared, so they were just talking to me, trying to calm me down, telling me, "Oh, everything's gonna be okay." You know what I'm saying? Really, I already knew.
What was going through your mind?
I was like, shoot. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna do a lot of time. And I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Was a part of you like, nah, I'm gonna get out of this? Or were you really like, shit, I'm going to jail?
No, I was like, if we have a lawyer, maybe he could talk it
Yeah.
down. I was like, it's not it was my second offense a few months before I got arrested for selling drugs. That's another story, but
So say you left that whole thing out, but I wasn't gonna say nothing.
yeah, but so that's a whole nother
Yeah.
story. That's crazy too when I got locked up for that. And but I was just like they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it." You know what I'm saying? He was out on bail too now for something he did. So they already knew about him, so they were like trying to so once they said, "Don't worry, they know about him, how he's a troublemaker." So I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe I could get off." So on self-defense and all that, but the lawyer kept asking for more money when we paid him a lot of money, and I was like, okay, now that goes to show you how sometimes the system's corrupt. Oh no, my PI, private investigator, I have to pay him, and he could probably find this, and that could help. We're like, dude, we're not
Yeah.
rich, but that's how the
What did
system works.
you? So at the end, what did you end up getting?
And he wanted me to do 25 life for shooting him. So he signed statements,
Mm.
snitched on me to the end, and they offered me a plea deal of a 6 to 18. So I copped out to the 6 to 18. I did 8 years because when I first went to the parole board, they didn't release me. They hit me with 2 more years.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Everybody thought you were coming home. We were all excited, and then they said, "No, he has to stay."
yeah. Then I was released. I was supposed to come home in September in the begin yeah, like in September, but then 9/11 happened, so
Yeah.
everything was pushed back. So I didn't come home till October of 2000. What was that? 2001, right? 9/11.
You can't ask me what I did.
Yeah, I believe 2001.
I find I'm never good with dates. I don't know, men are very good with dates. I
Lately, I've been
suck at
forgetting stuff.
dates.
I
I
be
suck
having so
at
many
dates.
stuff.
To me, everything is the other day. So I don't know. It happened the other day. But all right. So you did 8 years in. You came out.
Yeah, October
You
2001.
went in at 16.
Yeah, 16. Came out I was 20. I went in 16. Yeah, came out. I was going October 4th, I came home.
Wow.
October 12th was my birthday.
That was a nice way to
Yeah, so
going. What does it feel like to take like you were? I remember you used to go out all the time. You used to love to dance. Well, before you even got with the blog, you were a big dancer.
Yeah, I was a big
Yeah,
dancer.
you used to love to dance. You were very like cool with everyone, and then you got into the block, and then you switched a little bit because
Yeah.
that's when you kind of hit the street, started doing the other stuff, like, selling. So you did switch a little bit. I remember that. But you were always like cool with everyone. So here you are, 16, you shot somebody, you got everything taken away from you, and you were a very spoiled child.
Yeah.
You were a very, very spoiled child. So how do you go from being like the super spoiled, get everything you want, to now being locked up? Like, what did that feel like to you?
It felt crazy. And I was actually that year that happened, before that happened, I was like, I believed that was gonna be my last summer, me trying to hang out, and I was gonna focus on going back to school and changing for my mother and Tia Luisa and all of them, how they were talking to me. But things happen for a
Yeah.
reason, you know. I guess I had probably had too much beef that wasn't my beef.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one was really my beef because that's another story of what I did. And but I went in and I was still spoiled.
Yeah,
I still had, I was in there, had
we
my
know.
polo shirts, my Ralph Lauren shirts, my Jordans, I had my Air Force Ones. So it's like I still had was getting
The
everything.
music, I
The
remember she kept
music,
buying oh
cassette tapes,
yeah, what were they called? Oh my God. Were you listening to music?
the Walkman.
The Walkman. That's
So
right. God,
I
how
would
did I
get the
forget that?
Walkmans, all the magazines to
Yeah,
keep
I
up to
remember.
date with what's going on outside. They used to visit me, send me
How was
package.
it in there though?
And there it was, when I went to the county, got there, you know, they because he just came out, and the problem I had the first time I was in the county when I had beef with somebody and they were going to try to jump me, and all I could remember was watching that movie Bad Boys, not the one with Martin Lawrence, the one with Sean Penn. Wait, what's his name? Damn, I forgot his actor. And the guy from, I think from La Bamba was in there too. It was called Bad Boys, and I remember when they were going to jump this guy. He put soda cans in a sock. Except I didn't have no soda cans. And one that came up to me, he's like, "Oh, you want this razor?" So I was like, whatever. So I was on the phone when they came up to me, and I was leaving my aunt a message. I'm like, "Yo, help me out. Help me out." And so I was like, damn. I went, took off my sock, and the bar of soap they gave you. I was like, okay, I put the bar of soap in it, tied it up like in the movie, and then to put it in my pants, was walking. I let them walk in front of me, and I just took it out and started beating the shit out of him with the bar of soap in the sock. And they, big fat seals, picked me up and slammed me and threw himself on me. I was like, oh shit.
That's
Mind you, I
scary.
was 85 pounds.
Yeah.
So now they put me directly into key lock, they
Yeah.
called it in Valhalla. So I went in there. But then, so when I went back in this time, because he just came out on bail, and they put me in a cut, like PC protect for whatever custody. And I was like, what the?
Protective custody.
Yeah, protective custody. I'm like, yo, every time I went to court, I'm telling, I don't want to be in there because why would I want to be in there? I got other friends that's here that, they had cases
Yeah.
too. So I'm like, take me out, take me out. I'm like, so finally the judge said, okay, they removed me. I went into population, hanging out with my friends and all that. And right, I remember it was almost, I went in there and was going to school, ended up getting my GED. And I remember like before I went, these Paris.
Besides your GED, did you do any
Yeah, I
other
did some
courses or?
trade, I started with floor covering.
Mm-hmm.
I did electronic repair. But upstate, I also went to school until Pataki took the college out of the prisons. So
So
Governor
before you
Pataki at
used to
that
be
time,
able to
go to
do
college,
college while you
yeah,
were in prison.
and have a job there too.
What
So
did you do there?
well, let me see. They didn't have no jobs, I think. I was working at when I was in Walk Hill, I used to work in the laundromat, so there was a hustle. People like want to pay cigarettes, packs of cigarettes to have their clothes washed separate from everybody, and then just fold it real quick, put in the bag, and
Yeah.
get 3 packs of Newports and stuff. So there was hustles in there. But before I went up, one guy comes up to me, he's Puerto Rican older dude. He's like, "Hey, what's up? This and that. You want to be part of nietas they were called? From Puerto Rico." I'm like okay because I was like even though I'm from New York, I liked all that West Coast thing. So it was like, oh, the Bloods, the Crips. I used to watch, listen to MC8 a lot, WA and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, gang. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this movie. Okay, yeah, whatever. So then I went upstate, and when I got there, I was just walking around, looking around. Okay, I'm like, all right, people just look at you. I'm like, whatever. And then I would go to the mess hall, eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, then met some guys that were from like Brooklyn and stuff. So we're like, oh, we all start talking. Oh yeah, Yonkers, yeah. This we all got cool. So they were all like from different parts of Brooklyn, but they were part of not affiliated with nothing. So one day somebody comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, aren't you Nieta?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why didn't you come?" I'm like, "I don't know how this works." "Oh, we're here. It's in case you have problems." Like, I don't need no protection. I could handle myself. I'm like, I'm new to this, so I don't know what the hell's going on. And then,
So you just went in because it was like,
yeah, just to be cool because of the movies I
yeah.
watched and stuff. So I was like, I'm not because I needed. So the fact that they were really mad at me was because I'm Hispanic.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's so crazy because they send these young kids to prison, right? Like, I'm hearing you say you're 16. I remember, I mean, we're what, 2 years apart?
Yeah, I'm 48.
46. So you go in, you are so naive at that age.
Yeah.
You have no, like, you're so immature. Like, they're putting you in these, like, confined places with all these, like, I don't want to say criminal because everyone has a past and a mistake,
Yes.
but you're young, you're in this place. Look at the decision. You made a decision to get into another gang and you had no idea what that meant and what repercussions comes with that.
Yeah, so
It's
I was like,
crazy.
they were like, I'm hanging out with these dudes from Brooklyn, and but the fact that they didn't like it is because they expected me to be just hanging out with them, and I'm hanging out with these dudes from Brooklyn, and it was crazy because on the block we all hung out together, Hispanics, blacks, whites, a different type of people hanging out together. And there I'm hanging out with them from Brooklyn, but they didn't like it because they were black, so they expected me to just be with them. So all right, they'll have the meetings, I'll go, whatever, hang out with them, and then this one dude comes and I guess he didn't like me, supposedly the leader or whatever, because he wanted me just stick my kind, he said. I'm like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. So they're like, oh, we can control this kid. And so we was in there. I was cool. It was like, let me see. I ended up in Washington. It was really supposed to be more for adults, 21 and over. But I was part of the experiment they had. So the experiment was because they're like, we can't put all these little fuckers together because they're all 16, 17, 18,
Yeah.
19, like green facility. They're all wild and stabbing, cutting each other. So let's see if we could mix them up. Young with the older, see if they could school them. And that's what ended up happening. That's why I ended up there instead of green. Time went on, I was cool. And then this one guy kept talking shit. He threatened me, and this time this divine hat came down. He's Panamanian, but people thought he was black because he was dark, and he already had like 30 years in, and he still had probably like another 5 to go. He came down. I was cool with him because he knew the other dudes from Brooklyn, but the other guys, Divine was God body, and they weren't. They knew family or whatever, and they kept on. And then one day he's like, "Listen, just that's it." So they're like, they let me get out of it. So the wrong,
Without like beating you up or nothing?
yeah, they let me go. I guess Divine knew one of the older
Oh,
guys named by Amun,
yeah.
so he told him, and the other one he kept threatening me. He's like, "Oh, you become God. We're gonna take you out." I'm like, I know you did not just threaten my life. You know what I'm saying?
You weren't
So
scared? I would have been shit myself.
no, I was like, you
I mean, I
ain't.
don't know, but I'm like, I'm thinking like at that age, but then again, at that age, you're wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're more fearless. Maybe now at this age, going into an unknown
Yeah,
and not
now sometimes I
knowing.
think I'm like, maybe if it was like a max, I'm like, I think I would have got
Yeah.
taken out.
Because they younger, I know I didn't think about some of the things I did.
Yeah,
I was super like fearless, but there were like some situations that we got into that I was like, what was I thinking?
yeah.
Why did I even think about doing that? But it's just, I guess, as you mature, you realize.
Because I'm not saying they're all bad. Like, I was cool with Land
Yeah.
Kings. There was a lot of them that were mad cool. Panthers too, they were cool. It's just this one dude,
Yeah.
he wants to run it away. But it wasn't meant to be a gang. What it stands for in Puerto Rico is completely different from it. In Puerto Rico is to help the weak people, excuse me, who are in prison,
Mm.
that can't defend themselves. Here they want to turn it into a gang and blood in, blood out. It's not even like that. So he threatened me and then I became
Mm.
God body, 7%er. My name was Powerful God Allah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So are you still?
Huh?
Are you still?
Right now, I listen to some of the stuff. I know like when Wu-Tang raps about certain things, I
Mm.
know about it. But, when I came home, I was like, when I came home, I'm like, I guess I didn't want nothing to do with my
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Not my past just from
Yeah.
prison. Or my past from when I was like before I got locked up and
Yeah.
stuff like that because I was like embarrassed,
Yeah. Well, that's a
ashamed.
good. Now let's jump. So now, 16, 8 years, you went through all of that. Two different type of affiliations. Now you're 24 out. We said Walkman. Now we're
Yeah,
talking iPhones.
yeah.
What was that like?
So actually, when I came home, the iPhones still weren't out. I think we had flip
No,
phones.
I had an Nextel.
Yeah, flip phones
Yeah.
and Nextel were
Yeah.
starting to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I started my actually yeah, Nextels were
I
out
had a
because
Nextel when you
my
came
mother
home.
gave me
Yeah.
a small phone and it was flip.
Yeah.
But that was until I got a job. Then I started getting the Nextel. I came home and it's crazy
First of all, you didn't
because
even have girl experience, right? Like you barely had girlfriends.
yeah.
So this, like, you really like,
Yeah. So now I'm like, I come home, I'm like, I was like scared. Not scared of people
yeah.
or whatever. I felt awkward. I'm like, I would
Mm.
walk with my head down. I'm like, shoot, where in there, I'm like, I ain't care. I'm like, people trying to put prices on my head, or I ain't care about getting shot at before I went in or nothing. But now I'm like, feels different. It's like,
Why?
oh,
What made it?
like I didn't want to go nowhere by myself. I guess probably because they didn't prepare me. They don't prepare you to come out. They just like, okay, you made the boy. Here you go. There's your parole office. You got to report. You got to report. You got so and so time to report. You go report, and that's it. They don't help you find a job. None of that. So I'm walking around like, oh man, this is different now. I'm like, I haven't been out here in 8 years, so I'm like paranoid because I'm like, why is that? Now, if it's more of I'm thinking people are watching me. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is that person looking at me? What?
Because you
They
have
know.
someone
I'm
watching
like,
you all day long in
yeah.
there,
So I'm
right?
like, yo, what's going on? So I felt weird. Like, I was like, oh, I gotta get out of this. And
It's so crazy because I remember when you came out and I don't remember seeing that out of you. So it's crazy. It's so interesting because what's going on in here for you was so hard and overwhelming.
yes,
And none of us saw that. If anything, we wanted to take you out all the
yeah.
time. That
And
was like,
you guys wanted to take me out all the time. Remember what was it? Fridays, everybody would come over and
yep,
we just hang
drinking.
out,
Yeah.
drinking, playing cards. But it was like I never wanted to be outside because I
Wow.
felt uncomfortable. I wasn't used to being out in the world. And then as time went by, even till sometimes I still be like in my car and I'm like, damn, I gotta get tense. Is that person looking at me
Yeah.
or something? Like, but that's another reason creating this
How did you?
podcast
Yes.
to get out of that shell, to get out, that shell that I'm in. Like, oh. want to learn how to communicate more with people and express myself, and they're just going.
How long do you think are you better at masking that, or did you really feel like you worked through that part? Or like what's the difference of how you felt when you first came out to like now and then wanting to be around people? How do you think it's changed in any way or
It changed a little bit in the beginning. Like when I get to certain places,
Mhm.
I like still feel like uncomfortable. I don't
Yeah.
want. I just want to get somewhere and be like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And
Yeah.
instead of just having to wait to warm up and
Mhm.
then start talking and stuff. But it's like I guess it's something that I have to deal with. That I've been trying to deal with is seeking like mental health.
Mhm.
To speak to somebody, try to get out of it because I believe that's the first thing somebody should do once they come home.
Yeah.
Go seek help, speak to somebody so they could get it out the system. Maybe if I would have known that back then as I'm learning it now from trying to change my life and do a 360 of who I am, I probably would have been a different person already,
Yeah.
but that's why I want to do this podcast so people could see the change from day one to this
Yeah.
year down the line. They could see us build the brand together from scratch.
That's dope. How about work? How was that for you?
Work, at first, it was easy because I went back to work where I used to work at, but my mother was working there, so she lied saying she couldn't work so I could have the job. So I started working there.
I don't remember what that was.
Bartison.
That's right.
We
That's
used to
right.
make the machines for the
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
Express back then. But at that time, when I came home, they got smaller. They only had like a little area. The owner still owned the building, but he rented it out. So I was just doing like maintenance, cleaning up the bathrooms, the
Hmm.
cafeterias, offices, the offices that were left, and that's it. But then, I
You
guess
started working right away. I don't remember.
yeah, I think I started like end of October.
Okay, and you came the beginning.
Yeah, and I only probably worked for like, let me see. Yeah, right after my birthday, I started working, and I think I only worked for like a month or something, because
Okay.
then they were going to shut down another section. Then after that,
There was a time where it was a little hard, right?
yeah, it was a time, so I couldn't find nothing. So then I went to Jimmy's Bronx Cafe with P Rock.
I remember you were a promoter for a little
Yeah.
bit.
So
Yeah.
he took me to like a reggaeton concert they were having there.
Yeah.
And then I seen this flyer, and they're like, I saw a flyer on the floor and says, if you're looking for work, call this number. So the next day I called it, and it was I spoke to the guy. His name was Jay. He was the owner of CIM Production, and he used to do all these college parties and team parties. So I started working for him, handing out
I remember
flyers,
that.
the door. And then Steve, the manager, Jimmy, he said, "Oh, you want to work for me too?" So I started working for him. I would like Friday, Saturdays, I would work the door, and then I was making money like that.
So, okay. So you have really been trying though, if you really look
Yes.
at it, because you said you were scared to be out, like you didn't, not scared, but it was overwhelming to be around a lot of people and be
Yes.
outside. But you threw yourself into clubs where it's like the most crowded places to be
Yes.
in. So now, did you feel like you were more comfortable being in that setting? Because it was like younger or kind of the people you were used to hanging with? Or was it just like, was it more comfortable because of you knew like everyone was younger? And then earlier, in the day on a regular day basis, you were just scared to be around more of like the older people who have been doing something, not in jail. Like, how did you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, how did you
So
get yourself into that scene and you were nervous to just leave your car to go somewhere normal?
So now, when I started working, giving out flyers, I was just giving out, giving out. Some people take them, not. I would just give them out, give them out. Then when I started working the door, I was like, okay, I don't have to really talk to nobody. I would just have to stand there and make sure everybody paid and got their stamp. So, and they kept it moving. And then there, when I started working for Steve, and then for Elliot, I was on the security team. It was the same thing. I was just in the front, and I got used to the people I worked with in the front,
Hmm.
and they were my around my age. So we were all there, knew each other, had each other's back, and then it was more like, oh, felt like, I guess, security team. That was another thinking, oh, almost like a gang or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, that's what I was kind of trying to say. Like, did you know that surrounding is like rowdier people, people who are partying, who are drinking, who are you have the drug dealers, the gangers. Like, did you feel more comfortable because it was sort of like the people you were used to being around?
yes,
But in the day, you had to be more, maybe more intellectual when you were talking to
yes,
someone.
yes,
You know, people who had graduated high school by that time either were graduating college or were in college or finished
yes.
college.
That
That's what it
yes,
seems like because I know another person who's kind of like that thrives in that world but is very introvert in the other. So I'm like wondering if that is kind of like what goes through your mind.
yes. So that's
Okay.
what it was. I guess it was, you're in a club, people just, you see all these hustlers coming
Yeah.
through, and that was it. But then after that,
It was a little more control on your end to control
yes,
the scenery as to you feeling like people are
correct.
watching you.
So
Makes
then
sense.
then they shut down because they're gonna do renovation. They never opened. So I was like, oh man. So then I started looking for a job, kept looking. Went to go take the Verizon test. Got there too late, a minute or two. They didn't let me in. Second time, I was gonna go back. The bus, something happened with the bus. Now they were late, and I was like, you know what? They're not gonna let me in by the time I get there. I like forget it, this and that. But at the same time, I was still faxing. So I happened to get home. If I didn't get home, I wouldn't have received the call. And I received the call. Do you want to come in for an interview? I was like, okay, I want to go. I went in for the interview. They're like, okay, you start tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. And now, what, 20 years later, I'm still there. So I started off as a helper, went into the service department, and then I've been, let me see, 19, going on, yeah, so 1 year as a helper, a service technician helper, and then 19 years as a service manager
Okay.
now.
16, went to jail, 8 years in jail, come out at 24. Um, Ventured in the nightlife a little bit. You know, you were a big introvert, wanted to be inside, but you finally landed the job. You've been at 20 years, so you
Yes.
had that 9 to 5 down. Did okay, so what about relationships and how did your past affect that? Did you
Yeah, my past affected it. Not gonna lie, I was like, I guess too, from what my mother went through when I was younger, getting beat and all that. So I always had respect for women. I wasn't the type to like try to have, if I was talking to one woman, that's all it always been. I always been like that. And then came home, you know, nothing, just dated and
you didn't go
stuff.
crazy? I was
No.
like, I would have went crazy.
Yes, to tell you, I was still like,
Yeah.
because I was away, so I was still. Then I ended up, I got married, had my son, went through a divorce, and now went through a divorce, and now I have my wifey, Mem. I've been with her 12 years. You know, I'm not gonna say we have the perfect relationship. Everybody
I
has
don't
their
think
ups.
any so relationships. Where are you there?
So relationship where I'm at now, I'm with my wifey, Mem. I've been with her for 12 years now. Great woman. She's been there for me through ups and downs. You
We
know,
love ma'am.
yeah, giving her so much headache. Not so much in a bad way, but yes, I guess in the beginning it was still learning about relationship. Me still learning about relationships, stuff I've been through in the past, but as I got older, started
So
learning.
I got questions.
Yes.
In a relationship after doing so much time and then coming out and you're saying that you needed to find like mental help, guess like therapy, like
Yes.
how does all of that affect a relationship and how do you say, wait, I love this person, so let me figure my shit out? Like, did that ever happen to you? Did you have to really check yourself at one point?
Yes, I had to check myself at one point because was like being jealous of stuff where she's not doing nothing, because of my past. And That was like in the beginning, but then as I,
So, like insecurity?
yeah, insecurity.
Why do you think you felt insecurity?
I guess probably because I feel insecure about a lot of stuff. Because, like I said, I should have been got the help, which
Yeah.
I still haven't. But watching videos and reading it has helped me grow and change.
Mm,
Not saying that I'm not going to, but
mm.
I would like to, you know. So that's what happened. I was like insecure in the beginning of myself because I'm still like, oh, I'm still walking with my head
Yeah.
down, and I'm like, damn, I got this great woman, and I'm like thinking at night, I'm like, man, I'm a loser if I don't change my shit, and I finally changed.
That's good what you just said, but I have a question about
Uh,
that. You found yourself in a place where you know you were about to lose her.
yes.
Did you change because you felt you were, or whatever changes you need to? Did you do them because you didn't want to lose her, or because of you, or did you do it for you?
Yes, I did it for me because I knew I wasn't that type of person, and I knew that it's not cool to act like that,
Yeah,
especially towards somebody who's there for you, who has your back
yeah,
when you're going through other stuff. And I'm like, I have to change for me. In order to make somebody else happy, you need to make yourself happy.
yeah,
So I needed to change because I wanted to make myself happy. Because if I didn't make myself happy and I kept thinking nonsense, all I'm gonna do is be miserable and not just argue with her, take it out on other people
yeah.
and stuff like that. But I knew I wanted to change. I wanted to change to be happy for myself, which that's now I'm happy now.
What
She
does happy look like for you?
happy looks, going out date night, staying home watching to get movies together, cracking jokes. Now babysitting because we have the grandkid. So that's being happy and doing small stuff, going on vacation. None of that. Oh, big trips or big gifts. We passed those stages now. Now it's just about spending time together, going
Yeah,
eat good food. Trying different restaurants,
yeah.
and that's it.
You said something about taking it out on people. So, did anger take a part? Was anger a part of you
Yeah,
at some?
anger was part of me. From before I was letting people get to me a
Yeah.
lot, so I was just like curse
Why do you
everybody out.
think?
Guess I don't know. I don't know if it's hereditary because everybody's like, oh, you. My mother and them always would say, oh, your anger is worse than your father. So I guess he was an angry person. So,
Yeah.
there's I guess a lot from my past that I still have to find out from my
Mm-hmm.
father's side of the family and get to know about him
Mm-hmm.
because like I ask everybody and everybody always tells me this, no, your father did. I'm like, okay, yeah, keep telling me the same story, I want to know more. But I guess probably everything's built up together from when I was younger to me getting locked up and coming home being insecure, scared of the world because I feel ashamed. I guess
Yeah.
being feeling ashamed of what I did and where I was. So that used to like probably build everything built up.
So do you feel you've worked through all of that already, or you still need some
No,
more?
I feel like I still need to see somebody,
Okay.
and it's crazy because I've been trying to, and I've set up appointment. Oh no, that's not it's not fair. But so why you have that on your website? Why you have that? This one has this, that one has that, and then they canceling.
Yeah.
Oh, you should look for somebody another type. And so I'm getting tired because or everybody has the same thing, but when you call them, set it up, and then you fill out the what's that questionnaire. See, they're like, oh no, it's not. You gotta see somebody else.
So you find that you can't find a therapist that actually deals with like PTSD due to prisons like
Yes.
that? Is that
At
a
the beginning, PTSD, I always thought it was a military thing. So I was like, no. And then I saw a video, a podcast from Ian Bick. He was locked up. Different situation though, and he has guests on. And he had this one, I don't know, this one therapist, a psychologist on there, and he started speaking about that. People who were locked up having PTSD, it's not just a military thing. I was like, and that now from then on, I'm like, now I'm more want to
yeah.
speak to somebody about it.
Wow, so that's a lot. And
Yeah.
that's a lot, and I know we kind of just touched on like little things because if you get into detail, and I know we can get into like full stories of certain
Yes.
parts, but you were young and we didn't come from a bad, we were a pretty decent family,
Yeah.
working class, everybody worked. I don't think we weren't poor, but
No.
we weren't really middle class either.
Yeah.
So we were like somewhere, I don't even know if there's a name for it, but we were somewhere in between there. Everybody pretty much worked and had their household. We had some housewives, the husband
Yes.
worked, and then we had some single ones. They worked. Either way, we made it happen. Did you feel you have family support?
Yes.
You do? I think mostly from one person
What, when I was away?
throughout
No.
your whole journey.
Throughout my whole journey? Yeah. Like when I was in there, Mamita, Papito, my mother, and
Mamita, papita,
Tia
our
Luisa.
grandparents.
Yeah. They always, every month, were up there to I came home. And then as I got closer, my mother, like, she started going at, like, mostly every weekend, especially when I was in Fishkill, because she knew she'd take the bus and the train. She knew how to get everywhere via bus and
Yeah.
train. So she didn't drive, never drove. And then there were days Tia Luisa would take her. They would go up there with Mamita and Papito. So yeah, when I came home, everybody was there for me.
Do you think everyone was there for you the way you needed them to be there for you, or do you feel
Um,
you would have had a different type of support?
like my other aunts and let's say my uncles, they not, because it was different. They didn't know how
Yeah.
how it worked, and they didn't know how to get around. So
Yeah.
I didn't really see them. I only saw Tia Elena, Tia Johnny, and that's when she was married to Elvis.
Yeah.
When I was closer to home, so. But I understood how it
Yeah.
is. They don't know, Papito would go up because he knew how to
Yeah.
drive everywhere and he loved driving.
Do you wish you had more support from family?
Yes and no, because I understood how it was, and
Did you really though? Because I would have thought
because I would speak to
being
them.
young, like I'll tell you what, different scenarios, but when I went through my issues, I definitely feel no shade to our beautiful
Yeah.
family. I don't feel support like we should have. Like I see I don't know, but I don't know, is it common? Like, is it common? Like, are we living in a movie? Or like, there are a lot of things you did based off of what you saw in movies, right?
Yes.
So if I look at a united family in a movie, I'm like, well, we have those moments super randomly, right? Everyone, and I don't know, is it normal, is it not normal? But like everyone has their lives and we get together when we have to. And maybe there is also a combination of we also don't ask for help in our family,
Yeah.
so we don't get help. But with what you went through, which was, going away and then coming and needing that support, you did feel supported by family.
To an extent, I guess. Now that you would think of it, back then I was like, I'm in here, so you wouldn't
Yeah.
think of it. But now, when you think of it, you be like, oh, they should have supported me more. But I'm understanding now
Yeah.
too. Also, I'm like, okay, I can understand because they wouldn't know how to write. They're like, oh wait, I can't write to him because I only know how to write in Spanish, and they thinking, oh, he don't know how to read in
Yeah.
Spanish. I know how to read Spanish, but that only was because I started picking up in there learning stuff, but I didn't really know. So,
Yeah.
so
You would have figured it out because
yeah,
even if you read it slow, you can figure it out.
yeah. So
Okay. So now, all right. So 16 jail, come out, ventured a little bit in different fields, landed your job, been there 20 years, you have your wife, you have your son who's in college.
yes.
Kudos. And what is next? Like,
What's next?
all right, so I know we started this because you want to be more extrovert. You want to be able to heal wounds,
Yes.
and teach people how to heal wounds. But like, what else? Like, what do you want to work on?
Want to work on networking, building a community. Helping people get started with podcasts if they need help with it.
Yeah.
Give them a hand. Like, this is what you need. If you starting off, this budget friendly equipment. If you have it and this is what you could buy. Down the line, we could work on putting together a book, workbooks, stuff like that to go with the book, help people change, go through different things in life.
That's pretty awesome.
Create some motivational
Yeah.
merchandise, bookmarks, t-shirts.
Well, I think for doing a lot of it, a lot of the work on your own and all the reading, you've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
So, you are an amazing dad. Like, truly, you have an amazing son. And you just said grandbaby, which you love Mem's son
Yes.
from first marriage as your own, which there are not a lot of men out there like that. So I commend you for that too. So before we kind of switch off on this, what do you want people to take out of the first episode?
People take, don't be ashamed of your past. Like I was. I was ashamed, always held my head down, and I would be around certain people and they'll be talking, these criminals, these ex-cons. But yeah, you have some that you could, shouldn't talk bad about them, but I can't fault people for being like that because some people continue doing the same thing or they want to carry themselves a certain way. And so I can understand that, but don't be afraid of your past. Express yourself, and if you want to change for the good, Not don't let your past hold you down. You know what I'm saying? Move forward, look to change.
Yeah.
Because there's some people who are not being themselves. They just walking not because they front. They just quiet, staying in the background. If you want to be that person who's able to go out and meet people and hang out, talk about different subjects. Yeah, this book or this or network with people to start business, dress, to feel good. Go ahead, go out, change. Don't just be scared, timid. You gotta go out there and become who you really want to be.
Yeah, that's great advice. So, thank you for listening to the first episode. The second episode would be me telling you my story, but we had to start it with the creator, the founder, the greatest.
Thank you for joining me and helping me with
Absolutely.
this. How long we've been trying to do this? 3 years now?
3 years.
Yeah. And thank her because she said the other day, sick or not feeling well, I'm coming through and we're going to get this started because New Year's around the corner and we have a lot of plans, a lot of goals to meet.
Sick or not, this is not my real voice.
Yeah.
But we're done waiting, so
Yeah,
it's now or never.
We can't keep saying, oh, we got to wait for the perfect moment. Try and make this perfect because it's just like watching people on social media on these YouTubes. They want to make it perfect. Listen, we both have a busy life, children to tend to, grandbabies, so we just have to hit record, look at it, maybe fix a little mistakes.
Or maybe
not even just release it.
Watch our growth. Watch our growth.
Yeah.
See where we are a year from now. This might not be for everyone, but we're not talking to everyone. We are talking to our specific community. And I'm not even sure we even know who our community is
exactly.
yet.
Everybody wants to stick to creating for a certain niche, but I'm not trying to look for a niche because we're going to talk about fitness, food, how we could eat better or what we could substitute, mental health, little fashion, I used to like all that
fashion. That's him.
I used to like all that fashion, but now, man, I don't care. I'm going Target. I go get my clothes in Target. Good fella. Only thing that a little expensive be my shoes, but other than that, I still rock my little Nikes and stuff like that, clothes. But my new goal is to be more simple. And
live life.
Live life.
Not let life live you.
Enjoy it and.
Speaking of, I did promise Nico happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nico.
He is cousin by marriage, but he's family. So I did promise I would give him a little shout out. So happy birthday, Nico. We love you.
And I also want to give a shout out to my boy Luke. He always held me down. Betsy. Well, he's been doing a podcast. So I think you guys should go check it out. He has some cool interviews. It's What's Next with Lou Moroto. So check that out. I'll put the links in the description.
Nice. Until next time.
Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Have a great night or morning or evening.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.